Good morning, all you Loganites, and welcome to my bed. It's an honor and a privilege to have you here. Never thought I'd get to this point, but here we are. Well, it's good morning, I guess, kind of. It is morning. I just got off of a 12-hour night shift, so it's technically morning, but not my morning. Perfect time to continue the Appalachian Trail saga, chronicles. But no, we'll see. Alright, where we left off. I was coming out of Fontana Dam into the Smokies. First night into the Smokies. And we met Tammy already. We met Gary already. So the question was, is Tammy gonna make it that first night? Because like I said, it's about 10 to 12 miles in between its shelter and the Smokies, okay? Before we get to Tammy, my first experience at that fire tower I was talking about, whatever the fire tower was called, I got there, and at this point, I was wearing swimming trunks as pants or as shorts, and then like the skin tight underwear underneath. Not the best idea. Reason being, the swim shorts had like thread, like at the very edge there was like 3 rows of thread. Okay, and those 3 rows of thread actually rubbed on my knees and made them raw. Like, you don't think that thread would actually like rub your knees raw, but when you're hiking like 10 miles a day, it legitimately does. So the swim trunks were actually hurting, which is an important part of this, because this is kind of where I broke. That was the first day I was like, screw these shorts, I'm over these freaking shorts. So I just took the swimming trunks off and I hung them up on the fire tower, let them dry out because you sweat really, really hard. So I'm in my underwear and my t-shirt up at the top of the fire tower eating lunch. And lo and behold, a stranger comes up to the fire tower, and literally, like, I hear something rustling down there, and I'm thinking it's a bear, and it's some random person. I forget his actual name. We ended up, his trail name was Bigfoot, okay? So Bigfoot showed up there, and he climbed up in the fire tower with me, and he was kind of like, this guy might be a little weird, because he's in his underwear. He's out here all alone in his underwear. Could be a little odd. But we had lunch together up on the top of the fire tower, enjoyed the view, and then started hiking together, okay? Now, one thing I can appreciate about the trail is how open it is and how accepting it is. So that's why I think a lot of weirdos go out there, because it is accepting. I mean, not in a bad way, but there's some people out there. But Bigfoot was like a younger man, early 20s. He worked at a grocery store up north somewhere. He was super cool and just wanted to get out, and he was hiking the Smoky Mountain section of the trail. He smoked a lot of weed. A lot of pot. Like, even at lunch, he was like, when we got down from the fire tower, he's like, hey, you want some? And I was like, I'm good. But it's just interesting how that's acceptable behavior out there. Which, I mean, it might be acceptable behavior other places, but just in my line of work, it's not exactly acceptable. For him, it was cool, okay? He's cool, I'm cool, we're cool, okay? So we end up hiking together to the first shelter, okay? And I'll be real, man. This first shelter was hard to find. I'll never forget, there was no white blazes for like 3 miles. No white blazes for 3 miles. We're hiking from the fire tower to the shelter, and there's a section where there's no white blazes for 3 miles. That's important because there's supposed to be white blaze like every 200 yards, 100 yards, something like that. Like, there is an average distance they're supposed to be. Well, the only reason that we didn't turn back and like a mile in and hike back and make sure we're on the right path is, now this is, I'm not sponsored by anybody. I don't really think I want to get sponsored by anybody. I kind of like just doing my own thing and talking either good or bad about whatever, whenever. But, what is it, Gut Hooks? Gut Hooks? Yeah, Gut Hooks, the app on your phone. That app kept me on track because it showed me that I was off trail at a previous point on the trail. And this time it showed me directly on trail. You know, you look at your actual topo map, and then you also look at your lat and your longitude, your elevation, and it had me directly on the trail. So I kept telling Bigfoot, I was like, man, it says we're on the trail. It says we're on the trail. I don't know what else it wants me to do. He goes, well, if you say it's on the trail, it's on the trail. So we stayed on and kept our heading. Thank God we did, because we were on the right path. Thank God we did, because we were on the right path. I'm talking a 3-mile section with no white blazes, and we were looking hard. I'm talking about like moss on a tree. We're like, oh, is that it? Oh, I don't know. Oh, that's not it. Okay. Looking hard. Okay. Hiked through that, got back to the white blazes, and we're like, I don't know what that was back there, but I hope that doesn't happen again through the Smokies. And like I said, this was our first day into the Smokies, so maybe we thought it was just the Great Smoky Mountains had some weird regulations. I don't know. But we're hiking together, we're doing good, we made it that little section, and then here's the kicker, okay? So up to this point on the trail, I've not had problems out of any animals. I had like a squirrel go into my food bag while I was hanging up, but there's a cluster of food bags, and it literally went up to all the food bags. Mine that's hanging in the middle went directly through the side of it for wasabi flavored almonds. Wasabi soy flavored almonds. If you like those almonds, do not take them on the trail. I had like cocoa dusted almonds, regular almonds, spicy almonds, all these kind of almonds. For some reason, the wasabi soy sauce almonds, they can smell a mile away, and legitimately went into that hole, ate some almonds, and went right back out. Didn't touch anything else in my food bag or anyone else's. Wow, it was on a bear bag. So wasabi soy almonds, no, don't bring them. They're good, eat them in town, don't bring them on the trail. Or just guard them with your life. I don't know. But that's the only issue I had with animals up to this point. Well, that day was a different day. There's not much sun on the trail, but so me and Bigfoot are going through the section, just maybe like 50-yard section of the trail, and there is a ton of sunlight. Like it's like all the trees fell down, ton of sunlight, direct sunlight, no big deal. Well, as we're walking, I hear camera malfunction. I'll drink to that. So as we're walking, I hear what I think is cicadas. Like, you know, that cicada sound. I don't know what else to call it. Well, I'm in front of him. I walk through a section, okay, and he puts his foot and actually puts his hiking stick onto a full-grown timber rattlesnake. Directly on it, the rattle I heard was not cicadas, it was a freaking rattlesnake, and scared the ever-living shit out of us. Like, I'm talking full-grown rattlesnake. I mean, like, at its biggest was like about yay big. It was freaking big, dude. Like, scared the stew out of us. So we jumped up the trail, and then we were like, all right, well, we can't just leave it on the trail because Tammy's hiking behind me. I don't want Tammy to, like, step on it. So we sit there, and we're throwing rocks at it. Like small rocks. Like, not even bigger than my fist. Like, small rocks, and it's not moving. The rocks are, like, hitting it, landing on it, and it's not moving whatsoever. It's just sitting there rattling harder and harder and harder. I'm like, all right, well, we're just going to leave it. We're just going to go. We're just going to go. We can't handle this. So we left. Honestly, we left. Now, was that the right decision? I don't know, but no one got hurt. Tammy didn't get hurt. Everybody's good, okay? So me and Bigfoot move forward, keep going up the trail. We eventually find the only water source in the section and have a seat and drink. And this is our first time meeting, I want to say like Mini Bear and Good Times. Or no, Mini Bear and Lady of Death or something like that, okay? It was a couple that were hiking together, okay? And she was trying to complete her through hike from a few years earlier. She had just missed the Smoky Mountains for whatever reason. So they were coming over to finish a through hike. We met them at the water source. We drank some water together, and they went on ahead of us. Well, we went up behind them, okay, and made it to the shelter. Now, the reason why all these characters are important is me, Bigfoot, Lady of Death, Mini Bear, and Gary. Gary, his trail name is Papa Skivvy. These people are special in my heart, okay? They really are. And it's weird to say that because I only spent like 5, 6, 7 days with that group in the Smoky Mountains, okay? Only spent 5, 6, 7 days with them there, and I have not seen them since, all right? That's it. It's the only time I've seen them. And they had such a big impact on my life, I remember all of the trail names, okay? Especially Gary. I love Gary. Love Gary. But the reason why we spent those days together, it's not because we necessarily wanted to. The Smoky Mountains, their shelters are put, like I said, roughly 5 or 6 miles or 10 to 12 miles apart. So either you do 5 or 6 miles or you do 10 to 12. There's no in between because you're not staying outside the shelters. You don't really have that option in the Smokies. I can't remember if it was because of like bear issues or if it was actually because of the Smoky Mountain regulations. But it groups people together according to their pace. So I'll fill you in. Tammy did not make it to that shelter that me and Gary went to. I know. I felt bad. I didn't feel bad, but like, I liked Tammy. She was cool. And so this is like, basically a year later that I'm doing all these videos to kind of like keep those memories alive and keep those memories easily accessible as I get older. Tammy right now, a year later, is back on the trail, hiking again by herself, meeting new people, doing all this stuff, and she's actually further than I quit last year. Like, I really liked Tammy. She had a go-getter attitude. She was like already raised her kids. She just was a solid person. She really was. Okay? Her husband was cool too. I don't remember when this happened on the trail because I'm kind of trying to do all this chronologically. But there's a point where I was ahead of Tammy. Okay? So I was ahead of Tammy, and I went somewhere to get like, stopped at a hostel to eat a beer and a pizza off the trail. It was like a half mile off the trail, but I got a beer, or like a bunch of beers and a pizza. And there's this dude in a minivan, and I was like, this guy sounds awfully a lot like what Tammy's husband sounds like. So I went up to him, and I was like, hey, I know this is weird, but is your name Brock? And he goes, yeah. And I'm like, I'm Logan. Does that sound familiar? She goes, you're Logan? You're the Logan? God, Tammy's told me so much about you. I'm like, oh, hopefully all good. He goes, yeah, it's all great. Thank you so much. Like, I really appreciate you hiking with my wife. Like, this is awesome. And then he opens up the back of his minivan and has chocolate bars, granola bars, Ziploc bags. Ziploc bags are gold. I don't know if I can convey that enough, but Ziploc bags are fucking gold. All these like snacks and goodies and resupply stuff for Tammy. And he goes, look, dude, anything you want back here you can have. I went like, really? Anything? He goes, yes. Take whatever you need or want. And I was like, okay. So I mean, I really appreciated these people. It wasn't just that they were like good for a minute. They were good the entire time I've known them. And I probably need to reach out to Tammy and be like, hey girl, what's up? Like, heard you're out there. I want to support you. You're awesome. Tammy's cool. But I'm getting off topic here. We're in the first night of the Smokies. Okay. That night at the shelter, no one stayed in the shelter but me, number one, out of my little group that I listed. There was like another family there, but whatever. There was one guy. He was very cool. What was his name? El Flaco? Or Flacco? It was either El Flaco or Flacco. He's done 3 through hikes. He's done the Appalachian Trail twice and the PCT once. Flacco, if you're out there, you actually had like, I don't know, what's the word? You had a big influence on me. Because this dude is later in life, so he's like 55, because he was talking about doing his first through hike at 51. Okay, so he said he told me what he did. Okay, like he goes, yeah, I'm a through hiker. Like currently I'm working on hiking all 850 miles of the trails in the Smokies. However, it's kind of weird doing the Smokies, unlike the trail. The trail is a point A to point B trail. So you go from one to the other, you've done every bit of the trail. Okay? That's how the Appalachian Trail works. That's how the PCT works. That's how the CDT works. However, the Smoky Mountain Trail Network, which is what he's trying to accomplish, has 850 miles of trail that you have to take this trail to this trail just to do this section that you haven't done before. So you basically, after doing, 40% of all the trails, you're redoing a lot of trails just to hit the trails you haven't hit, which is an interesting concept. It almost makes you go, this is definitely a pet project of someone that lives in the area. Okay, it's definitely like his back burner project, But that's what he's doing. That's his goal. So he's hitting like some weird trail that you have to hit in the summer without the water being high, and yada yada yada. Like it's its own little deal. Okay. But he talks to me about doing his first through hike at like 51 and not really experiencing the culture, not really doing all the weird AT things, like there's a bridge you jump off of somewhere, there's like an ice cream challenge, there's like a lot of AT traditions. And he was 51 and he did it. He did a northbound hike. He says he didn't like his finishing picture, which I'm sure is just a joke. Like, I'm sure there's more to it. So he did it again. I think he did the PCT in between and then the Appalachian Trail again, but he did it southbound. And then that time he did it southbound, he jumped off the bridge, he ate the ice cream, he did all this stuff, and he made the point that, I was 51 when I did it the first time. And at that time, I was like, I'm too old to do all this stuff. Well, after he did it once, he goes, I'm not too old to do anything. So the second time he did the Appalachian Trail, he took full advantage of everything and did everything he could. Which, man to man, I can respect that, okay? So I start talking to him about, like, well, what do you do for a living? And basically, he just lives very cheaply. He has a car that he owns and then stays with his parents when he's not traveling. But the way he talked, he through hikes the majority of the year, period, and then picks up, like, contract work outside of that. So, like, in between hiking and contract work, he just basically visits with his parents, I'll be honest. That's what it sounds like. Because if I remember correctly, he had a family, did the whole family thing, his kids were raised, and this wasn't for him. Which, to each his own. I hope I'm not that way. Because I kind of like the whole family idea. But that was his life. And he did that, and he made it happen. And I'll be honest with you, I was very impressed with Flacco. Okay? But that was my first night in the AT, or not the AT, the Smoky Mountains, and this super experienced hiker, which I feel like is a gem in the rough, is just there hanging out and like sharing his experiences, eating dinner with us, sleeping in the same shelter, like super cool dude. I mean, it's an experience. Need more drink. Oh shit, hold on. I was not a fan of Jim Beam White Label until a young man named Scooter got me onto it. Scooter, if you ever watch this, which I kind of doubt you will, thank you for the recommendation. It's just good, I would say. I'm a bourbon guy. Alright. That was only the first night of the Smokies. We got to get more in depth than that. So, first night of the Smokies, cool. I'm in it to win it, okay? No big deal. We sleep there that night, we get up the next morning. And Gary, who actually still doesn't have his trail name yet, Gary is kind of trying to push people to go, instead of to the 12-mile shelter, being like, hey, why don't we go to the 18-mile shelter? He's really trying to push those miles, okay? I'm not about it. I was like, nah, dude, I'm sticking to the 10 or 12, whatever it was. I'm sticking to the 10 or 12, okay? Then everyone else is like, yeah, we're going to do the 10 to 12. Yeah, we're going to do the 10 to 12. Yeah, we're going to do the 10 to 12. So that's what we did. The second night, okay, we all hiked to the 10 or 12. Get to know people a little bit better. I don't remember that night being anything remarkable, to be honest. I really don't. I mean, just get to know each other. I will say this, though. Okay, maybe it was kind of remarkable. All right, and this is kind of where I got my trail name. The Smokies are a high elevation rainforest. So I guess to be classified as a rainforest, you have to have so much rainfall a year. I don't know the numbers, but you have to have so much rainfall a year. Whatever, cool. What that means for you and for me is that everything is always soaked. It is like a freaking alien world. I'm talking about moss on everything. It's legitimately like an environment I've never been in before. It's cooler than you expect, okay? It's wetter than you expect. It's legitimately like being in a different continent, honestly. And it's just East Tennessee. It's just over that direction. So that high elevation rainforest is so freaking cool to actually experience. And we hiked, I don't know, like 60, 70, 80 miles of the Smokies. and it takes you through all that cool stuff. It is so freaking cool. But what I didn't know is that everything's wet all the time, and to start a fire, you have to work. You have to work. I've never worked harder in my life to start fires than the Appalachian Trail. Like, I'm talking making tinder for days, making kindling for days, finding tiny, tiny twigs. I'm talking about going out and like searching for like that tall, dry grass and just running my hands through it and trying to get big balls of it because it's all damp. It's all damp. So like what you think of like staging up a fire, starting with the little stuff and then going to the next level, you got to start with the little stuff and stay with the little stuff for a minute. Then you got to slowly build in the big stuff and still throw some little stuff in there. And then slowly go up and still throw some little stuff in there. It is super hard to start a fire in the Smokies. Super hard. But that's its own whole deal. And obviously I'm a little salty about it. That's okay. But another thing about Smokies with all the rain is that on these long trails, when it rains, okay, so imagine this. You've got a trail that thousands of people have walked on. Thousands of people, not hundreds, thousands and thousands and thousands. It is usually about, I guess about 3 inches deep. Like there might be like moss and limbs and twigs and stuff, then hard packed rock or dirt. It's usually about 3 inches deeper than the rest of the landscape. Okay. So when it rains super hard, all the water at the top of the mountain takes the quickest way down, right? That's how water goes. So it rains really hard. This trail becomes a raging stream, okay? Raging, fast-moving water. So when it first starts raining, it's okay. So it only takes up like the bit of the trails, because the trails, you know, usually in some places like this big to this big. So like, I know, like 6 to 8 inches to like 1.5 feet is roughly what the trail is. So it takes up about 1 inch of water and all of that just running, okay? No big deal. You kind of step on the sides, but when it starts raining so hard and so much that the sides also have water in them, you can't avoid getting your feet wet. There's no way. So these, like, second day that I was on the trail through the Smokies is when I experienced that running water, that like super fast. You can't avoid it. Everything's always damp. Nothing dries. Here's the water. It sucks. Whatever. And it would just soak our shoes. There's no, I don't think there's a shoe that could have avoided getting soaked in that. I don't really think there is, okay? So the point of this is that it's hard to start fires. Your shoes are soaked. You're soaked. Everything's soaked. It's cooler than you expect, so it kind of sets you up for some bad stuff. That second night, I hope I have a picture of this. I really do. I started a fire every night because I did not carry a camp stove these first few 100 miles. Did not carry a camp stove, so I could cook my Spam. I cooked Spam over an open fire every night, even through the Smokies. Even if it was only enough fire to cook a single serve slice of Spam. It didn't have to last long. I just needed enough heat to literally get this thing warmed up. I did that every night. So this faithful night, we're all cool, we're all damp. I cooked my campfire Spam, and we hung up all of our socks and all of our boots right in the, there's like a chimney in the actual shelter. I mean, pretty bougie if you ask me, but I'm not gonna complain. We hung up all of our socks and all of our shoes, and it kind of felt like one of those family things. Like, here we go, we did this together, here's all of our shoes drying. No, it was just nice. Yeah. So, what is that? That's like the second night of the Smokies, right? Alright, so that's the second night of the Smokies. Papa Skivvy, Bigfoot, Princess of Darkness, and Minnie Bear, okay? Those are the main characters. Tammy, I'm sad to say that she kind of stepped out of the story. I mean, not technically out because we're still, like, cool with each other, but not a part of my Appalachian Trail adventure anymore, or my summer that year. But we're going to pick this up again, because we're going to end this for now, because I'm about to go to bed. I'm kind of tired. we're going to pick this up again with what happened through the Smokies. Because a lot of cool things did happen through the Smokies. I mean, interesting characters, interesting animals, just fun freaking stuff, man. Yeah, so look out for it. It's coming. I'm here. I'm doing this thing. And you know, as always, my Loganites out there, I love you. Thank you for watching. And you can always keep your corn on the cob. I'm out.